Welcome to the Randy Report. I'm Randy Slovacek, your host. I'm also the writer and editor of therandyreport.com, where you can find me every single day on the internet reporting on the daily news cycle in terms of politics, pop culture, and entertainment news of interest to the LGBTQ community and its allies. Before I get to the news, I just wanted to share a quick humble brag. The Randy Report has recently ranked in the top 10 of queer news podcasts on the website Million Podcasts. I admit I'm terrible at self-promotion, and I know this recognition only happened thanks to listeners like you. And for that, I thank you. On with the news. In this week's LGBTQ headlines, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has blocked a law in California that protects LGBTQ kids from being outed by teachers. A gay dad went viral on social media in a good way, sharing the trials and tribulations of raising a straight son. Clive Davis, the bisexual music executive who was responsible for massive music careers of artists like Whitney Houston and Manilow, has died at the age of 94. All that and more in this episode of The Randy Report. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled last week that California cannot enforce its law banning schools from forcibly outing students to their families while a lawsuit challenging the legislation continues. The ruling limits enforcement of California's Safety Act, which was designed to protect LGBTQ students from being outed without their consent. The legislation in question, Assembly Bill 1955, also known as the Safety Act, and signed into law in 2024, strengthened existing California law prohibiting school districts from enacting any policy requiring staff to disclose information about a student's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression to anyone without the student's consent. Hello, privacy. In 2023, at least 10 California school districts adopted policies requiring school staff to out students to their potentially unsupported parents without the student's permission. All of these policies appear to violate long-standing California law and Department of Education guidance. Several teachers sued, and in 2025, the Department of Education opened an investigation alleging that the law violates the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Now, on the one hand, if teachers see a student abusing drugs or bullying other students, I certainly believe the teacher should speak to the parents. But the issue is centered a lot around transgender kids coming to terms with themselves at school, maybe dressing a certain way or asking to be referred to by another name or pronouns. Many in education say teachers and other school officials shouldn't be forced to become a snitch on kids who may or may not be going through a period of some kind. You know, it's called growing up. Those same folks say they could be put in a position of outing kids to families that may not be accepting of a queer kid. A study from the University of Connecticut found that a third of youth who were forcibly outed had a greater likelihood of experiencing major depression as well as low family support. Additionally, more than 65% of youth said being forcibly outed was highly stressful. According to the Trevor Project, 28% of LGBTQ youth report experiencing homelessness, with 40% reporting they were kicked out or abandoned by a parent or guardian due to their LGBTQ identity. The National Network for Youth reports similar findings, with 40% of LGBTQ youth experiencing homelessness and familial conflict being the primary cause. As this past Sunday was Father's Day, I wanted to share the story of a gay dad's thoughts on the trials and tribulations of raising a straight son, which went viral last week in a good way as parents across the internet connected to his feelings. The post on X has garnered over 2.7 million views as I record this. The Brazil-based father posted in Portuguese under the handle Clecchio. According to X's translation, he opened by saying that being the gay dad to a straight 16-year-old is like, quote, playing life's game on hard mode. People think it's going to be super modern and easy. Spoiler, it's not." End quote. He said when his son brings a girl home, he struggles with how to be a cool dad and worries about whether he should dial back the gay or crank up the straight protective dad vibe. He joked about his attempts to give advice on talking to girls, adding the simple statement, "Irony level, expert." He adds that while his son is definitely straight up straight, he loves music and theater. The dad says he tries to keep up with his son's taste, but, quote, "Sometimes I want to blast Lady Gaga or Pablo Vittar full volume just to test the house limits." He went on to say, quote, "The real big challenge, though, is showing him that being a man doesn't come with just one recipe. I want him to know that he can be strong, sensitive, protective, cry at movies, and still be a badass guy, no matter his sexual orientation." He added, "Sometimes my son rolls his eyes at it too much, but I know it sticks." He finished his post writing, quote, "In the end, being a dad is this: navigating the chaos with love, patience, and a ton of humor. Being gay just adds extra layers of sarcasm and creativity to the manual nobody handed us. Good job, Dad." A teacher hired by a Florida school was forced by the superintendent to either resign or be fired with no reason given after only 3 weeks. Now, Shepard Scalf is filing a discrimination complaint with the ACLU, alleging that the district thought he was transgender because he's intersex. Now, I think in today's environment, it's important to understand intersex is a term that covers many different ways that physical sex traits and reproductive anatomy can develop in a body that don't fit the traditional male and female understanding some people have. Scalf is an intersex man with XY chromosomes and has Swyer's syndrome. XY is commonly associated with biological males. People with Swyer's may sometimes be born with external genitalia that appear female at birth and are therefore assigned female at birth. While some intersex people identify as transgender, the majority do not. Scalf was hired by Patriot Oaks Academy in Florida to teach language arts for the 2025-2026 school year. But just 3 weeks into the school year, he was summoned to an emergency meeting with the principal. There he was told that, as he was in his first year and on probationary status, he could be dismissed without cause. He was told he could either resign his position or be terminated. While his new hire paperwork listed his gender assigned at birth, it was clear that the school understood he was a man, going so far as to give him a placard that read, "Mr. Scalf." Neither his gender identity nor his genetics were ever discussed with students or school district officials. According to a complaint filed by the ACLU on his behalf, Scalf believes that those who chose to fire him did not know that he was intersex, but saw that his gender identity did not match the gender assigned to him at birth and assumed he was trans. The complaint also notes that following Scalf's resignation, he received communications providing evidence that the termination followed complaints from a parent, quote, about the perception that Mr. Scalf is transgender, end quote. Through the complaint, Scalf seeks reinstatement, noting he is a dedicated teacher. Clive Davis, the bisexual music executive whose unerring ear and instincts helped define the sound of modern American pop music, has died at the age of 94. He is survived by his 4 children and his partner, Greg Schreifer. Over more than 6 decades in the music industry, Davis was responsible for the success of massive artists, including Whitney Houston, Bruce Springsteen, Janis Joplin, Alicia Keys, Santana, Barry Manilow, Aretha Franklin, and many more. His career included powerful stints at Columbia Records, Arista Records, J Records, RCA, and Sony Music, where he established his reputation as a star maker in popular music. Born in Brooklyn in 1932, Davis graduated from New York University and Harvard Law School before joining Columbia Records as a lawyer. By 1967, he was president of the label. After leaving Columbia in the 1970s, he founded Arista Records, the company through which he would make his deepest mark on pop and R&B music. His defining professional relationship was with Whitney Houston, who he signed as a teenager in 1983. Under Davis's guidance, Houston became one of the best-selling artists of all time. Davis was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2000 as an Ahmet Ertegun Award recipient, an honor for non-performing industry professionals, and won 5 Grammy Awards over his career. Davis came out as bisexual in his 2013 memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life. After 2 marriages to women had ended in divorce, he shared that he had opened himself up to, quote, the possibility of a relationship based on the person and not gender, end quote. Rest well, Clive Davis. And that brings me to the end of this episode of the Randy Report. If you enjoy catching up on LGBTQ news in a quick podcast, I'd appreciate it if you'd share it with your friends. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I like to think of the Randy Report as the 60 minutes of gay news, only shorter. And remember, you can find me every single day on the internet at therandyreport.com, where I cover the daily news cycle in terms of politics, pop culture, and entertainment news of interest to the LGBTQ community and its allies. Thanks for listening, folks. Take care of yourselves and have a happy Pride Month.